you've got Bradley Cooper in the film, and he obviously plays like almost like the perfect like asshole in the film. And then you look now, and he's like Hollywood's like sweetheart. So could you have envisaged that then, seeing how well he plays kind of the hateable person on screen?
You know, he's one of those actors that when he does, you know, American Sniper is the most internal performance, and you're completely gripped by it. But he just like, you know, by the way, he's the only actor I ever hired in the room of an audition, ever. He was so good, and I have a rule against doing that. And I was just like, all right, well, that's the guy. I can't even find anybody close to that. And I cast him in the room. I was like, okay, man, I'll see you at rehearsals. And he was like, really? And my casting director was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, that's the guy, man. I'm sorry. No one's going to beat that. That was crazy. And then McAdams, I almost hired in the room as well, because I could not find anyone to play that role. And she was the very last person that came in. I was supposed to go to a meeting at noon at New Line because they were going to force me to pick someone because I'd seen so many actresses. And she was literally the last person that came in at 11. And she was great. And I'm like, I discovered this girl, Rachel McAdams. And they're like, we have her in this movie coming out called The Notebook. Like, you could have, I'm like, tell me about her. Like, this is 200 people later. Yeah. You should have been the first person I looked at. So we got, you know, there was an amazing chemistry with the overall casting in the movie, you know, with Walken and Jane and Keira O'Donnell and Isla Fisher, who was, you know, insane. And like, she auditioned with Lisa Beach, my casting director, and she was like on her lap and feeling her up during the audition. I was like, whoa, okay, great. She's not gonna have any issues. And she did that turn where she said, I love you, and started crying. And it was just crazy enough and believable enough that I didn't know if anyone was ever going to really nail that line, that moment. And she did it in the audition.
She definitely gets the crazy level right in the film, doesn't she?
Oh my God.
That's part of the magic of the film, I think, is we obviously talk about the chemistry between Vince and Owen, but considering all the wacky characters that are in there, they do all bounce off each other perfectly. I know you said about the dinner scene, for example.
It's a chemistry set, you know. You really, when you put together a cast, it's like, I think people feel it's much more random sometimes. And I always feel like there's, you know, when you do television, they make you give a first choice, a second choice, and a third choice for each role. And I'm like, there is no second and third choice. What are you talking about? Like, if there's the right person for the role, then you got to stick it. You know, you don't, it's not that malleable. I don't think it is. You know, when you look back and like, would The Matrix have been The Matrix with Will Smith or Brad Pitt? No fucking way. Like,
no.
Part of what's great is that it's Keanu, and he can say whoa, and you laugh for a moment. You know, like. So I do think that stuff, when it works, it's very special when it works.
Yeah. I mean, when you say, obviously, as you say, it's not that malleable and you've got your choices in mind, were you ever nervous that as you're putting it together, did you have an idea in your mind as to how it would work? Or was it just...
I did. That's why I couldn't find Rachel. Like, Rachel is the heart of the movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody came in and played it like they were mad with their family. Okay, you know, that she's getting set up with this guy that she's not so sure about, and that, you know, she came in and she loved her family and thought maybe she was kind of much more dug into a certain warmth and a certain groundedness about the whole thing. And I looked at that and I'm like, that's who I'm going to be rooting for at the end of the movie. You know, that like these guys, she's the one that falls in love and then has to find out that this guy's been lying to her. And, you know, she holds that movie together. It really is.
Because she would have been quite annoying if she had been sort of the rich girl who kind of rebelled against the family. That would have been super annoying, a bit cliche.
Every other person came in and did that. And even when I tried to direct them out of it, I couldn't get what I was seeing in my head. She came in and nailed it on the first take in the audition. And I was like, all right, well, that's going to be the actor. And now I'm going to play with her. I'm going to make her give her a bunch of bad directions, see if she can do it. And she could do anything you asked her to do. She was amazing. She was a Stradivarius.
She was kind of the foil to some of the crazier stuff as well. Kind of a little bit straighter than the rest.
Someone's got to hold it down in every movie. You know?